Hi, this is Michelle Harger-West, and this is my video 2 reflection over the second video for the class that I've done. And overall, I think it went really well. I think the change to number story is something that can be a little bit challenging for students with math. It's word problems, but it helped to actually have the pennies in the bucket as an example. And in a previous lesson, we also did red solo cups, where we determined how many were left by the number that were after the number were knocked over. Students used whiteboards to show different strategies to work these problems. Students that had some learning challenges, we showed them the number line on the board, so that helped them see how many jumps it took to get to a certain number from where they began, and that helped in solving the problem actually see it done. They also used tally marks, and by using the tally marks to represent the number that they began with, and then they would cross off the number that were taken away, or they would add additional tally marks depending on the number story problem. This gave them an actual visual representation of, okay, well, I started with 6 pennies, so I drew 6 pennies on my board, and then if I added 4 more to the cup, how many would that give me? And then they were actually able to count the actual pennies. Instead of trying to think, okay, what is actually 6 plus 4? For some of the students that had some challenges, it offered some differentiation in the lesson, as well as drawing the pictures, using the number line. What else did we use? We used the 10 frame, and some students were actually able to use the change to more problem with the box and show what was changed and what the outcome was. So overall, that went really well. Some students had questions. I usually set the students that were having some challenges closer to me, so that I would able to answer their questions, or just by observing what they were putting on their whiteboard helped me get a better visual. I could see everyone's whiteboard from pretty much where I was at, and I also used the showdown game where I gave them a designated amount of time to complete the problem, and then I would do like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, showdown. And then they would hold their whiteboard up in the air, so not only could I see the strategy that they used to solve the problem, but so could their peers around them. And we saw kids that were kind of like, oh wow, hey, being first graders, they are always kind of trying to one-up each other, or, you know, I want the attention of the teacher, so let me see what I can do with the math problem, because I want to get it recognized as well, which I try to do a good job of praising everyone. Math is not an easy subject for a lot of kids, so it was really inspiring to see them all really trying hard. In first grade, school just can get hard quick for them, not just with math, but reading, with reading as well. And you know, reading is the basis for all learning, so when we're working on these type of story problems, we're realizing that there is some reading involved. And when we work in our math workbooks, and they notice that there's some reading to the problems. It might be just names and adding, but they actually have to read the problem, find a strategy to solve the problem, and then come up with an answer. So I try to give them as many strategies as possible to answer some of these problems and work through them. Sometimes they don't always get it right, but that's okay, because then maybe they might try another strategy. And I did see that on a couple different boards where kids were doing multiple strategies for one problem. And then when they did the showdown, I was able to see, okay, this student used tally marks and a 10 frame board. So it was really beneficial for them to do that. And we'll continue that. I like to do that with the smartboard activity, with them sitting on the rug in front of me. Being first graders, they don't take up too much space. And then they can go back to their desk and work on the assigned activity that's in their math journal, which that I will use as a grade. But usually the first couple days we work together. I like to model the problems, and then they will go from there to work with my supervision of the problems. But overall, they did a really good job. I enjoyed this lesson. Math is something I really happen to enjoy teaching with first graders, but I can tell that it does get more difficult quickly for them as they progress. So I had a lot of fun with this lesson, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you.